Let's start from count number 1. Let's do that exercise.
No problem, Your Worship, because we don't have a charge sheet. Your Worship will rely on what they put in here. Times 2 kidnapping involving 2 kids. Your Worship, in terms of schedule, kidnap is not a Schedule 5. But let's leave that, Your Worship. This court had the opportunity to hear whose children are those. And this court came to the conclusion that the father of the children should be released because there was no dispute between defense and the prosecution. There is no dispute about whose children are there. Now kidnapping, Your Worship, has no basis. It's weak. It cannot stand. And when I go on, Your Worship, the Children's Court has already dealt with this aspect. And they have said the father must retain the 2 children and the grandmother, maternal side, must retain the other 2 children until the court so decides. So I don't see how such a situation where family fight tends to be a Schedule 5 with no death, no serious injuries, how it tends to be Schedule 5. Your Worship, I won't spend too much on that, but I've just given you a signal to that. Intimidation, not less than 3 counts. Your Worship, intimidation is not a Schedule 5. Your Worship, let me put these words in front so that I must not forget that in all these charges, if a person has never been found guilty on them, it cannot be a Schedule 5. Let's go to 5.3, trespassing. Your Worship, trespassing cannot be a Schedule 5. Cannot be. And it's worse, a public place where a parent go pick up his own children. That charge is weak, Your Worship. In actual fact, it's just abusing the court system. 5.4, contravention of Section 123B of Firearm Control Act 60 of 2000, failure to produce license for firearm when so requested. It's not a Schedule 5. Failure to produce a license. Can it be a Schedule 5? No, it cannot, Your Worship. I move, Your Worship, to 5.5, contravention of Section 21A. I'll come back, Your Worship, to 5.4. Contravention of Section 20 in bracket 1 and bracket A of PSIRA, working as a security without documents. Not a Schedule 5, Your Worship. There is no Schedule 5 there. Let me continue, Your Worship. 5.6, discharge of firearm in a building area is not a Schedule 5, Your Worship. I don't want to go into the merits, Your Worship, but it's not a Schedule 5. 2 times assault. It's not a Schedule 5, Your Worship. Pointing of a firearm, Your Worship, is not a Schedule 5. In fact, I will argue there was no firearm. Possession of unlicensed firearm, a rifle. That's where, Your Worship, I want to spend some little time, Your Worship, to say this rifle they are talking about, Your Worship, is something that you buy over the counter. It's a replica. And they are so brave enough not to tell the court that we suspect it could be a replica. If they have said so, Your Worship, they will have at least taken the court into their confidence. Your Worship, I have original receipt, which I intend handing over, Your Worship, and a picture of this replica, Your Worship, which was taken at the police station. What is even worse, it was taken at the police station to show that it's a replica. That's why even police at the police station could not bother about where it's left, because it's a replica. If it was a serious weapon, it would have never been taken like this. Here in the picture, you'll see there are replica bullets or ammunition. They are not charged of that because they know exactly that it is not a firearm, Your Worship. And I'm saying this, Your Worship, to say that if police cannot come to court and assist the court to come to the correct conclusion, and they are misleading the court, Your Worship, I want to say at the beginning, I have said that the prosecution is not a rubber stamp of the police. They must do their job. And it seems as if they are a rubber stamp, as with in this particular situation, Your Worship. I have an official receipt of purchase of that weapon, clearly described. And then I have a picture, Your Worship, from taken at the police station, Your Worship. Show the type of weapon with the writing showing it's not a proper weapon. That's why, Your Worship, I'm saying if the investigating officer had done his work, he will have written the serial number of the weapon. He will have described the weapon as the automatic or semi-automatic or an ordinary rifle. He doesn't give the court that information for the court to be able to make a correct decision. Weapon, Your Worship, automatic weapon, Your Worship, is a Schedule 5. But they are not telling the court what is the type of weapon. And if they don't say we take it as an ordinary rifle, even if it was the real weapon, Your Worship, it will still not be a Schedule 5 because it's not automatic. And they have not alleged it's an automatic. Your Worship, clearly, the police at Katlehong were not stupid. They were not stupid, Your Worship. The investigating officer cannot describe the police at Katlehong to be stupid, to leave a replica in the table like this, or a live weapon in the table like this. You won't do that. As soon as the police are convinced it's a replica, they are able to put it on the table, take pictures, and they show even those cartridges there, which is not a real ammunition, Your Worship. And the police in their own statement, they don't write in their own charges, they don't write about ammunition. They are charging him of weapon, a rifle, but they don't talk about ammunition. But in their report, they talk about ammunition. Where did this ammunition come from? Your Worship, I'm giving the original receipt. .10, Your Worship, possession of dangerous weapon, 2 pangas. Your Worship, that's not a Schedule 5. Possession is not a Schedule 5. Malicious damage to property, vehicle belong to maternal family, witness. That's not a Schedule 5, Your Worship. The state has not alleged before court that any of the accused or the applicant has been found guilty on any of these charges, thus make it a Schedule 5. They have not done that, Your Worship. Your Worship, I have mentioned that. I'll go back to 5.4, contravention of Section 123B of the Firearm Control Act, failure to produce license. If we are talking about the rifle, Your Worship, it does not need a license. So it is not a Schedule 5. It seems as if my learned friend investigator wanted to please the public in keeping the most famous prophet in prison. There is nothing that makes them to keep him in prison. Your Worship, that's not a Schedule 5, and the prosecutor knows that. That is not a Schedule 5. That I put our case across, Your Worship.